I woke up this morning and my wife was smiling wrong. Her mouth was too wide. The corners stretched past where they should end. Her teeth looked different, too many of them. I asked if she slept okay. She said yes in my voice, not her voice. My exact voice coming from her mouth. I laughed nervously. I said that was a weird voice to use. She tilted her head. She asked what I meant. She said she always sounds like this. I told her no, she doesn't. She sounds like me right now. She looked confused. She said I was being strange. She asked if I felt all right. Her voice was hers again, normal. I thought maybe I imagined it. We sat down for breakfast. My daughter came downstairs. She was wearing my clothes, my shirt, my pants, my shoes. They fit her perfectly. I asked why she was wearing my clothes. She looked down at herself. She said these are her clothes. She's always worn these clothes. I looked at my wife. She nodded. She said our daughter has always dressed like that. I went to my daughter's room. I opened her closet. It was full of my clothes, all in her size. Nothing else, just copies of everything I own. I went back downstairs. I asked them what was happening. They both tilted their heads, the same direction, the same angle, perfectly synchronized. They asked what I meant. Nothing was happening, everything was normal. I looked at family photos on the wall. In every photo, my daughter wore my clothes. In every photo, my wife's smile was too wide. How had I never noticed before? I checked my phone for older photos. Every single one was the same. My wife's wrong smile, my daughter in my clothes, years of photos, all wrong. But I remembered them being normal. I grabbed my keys. I said I needed to go to work. My wife said it was Saturday. I don't work on Saturdays. I checked my phone. She was right, it was Saturday. But I could have sworn it was Thursday. My wife asked if I wanted to watch our show, our Saturday morning show we always watch. I don't remember having a Saturday morning show, but they both sat on the couch, waiting for me. I sat down between them. The TV turned on by itself. No one touched the remote. A show started playing. It was a show about a family. They looked exactly like us. Same house, same clothes, same faces. The father in the show looked confused, just like me. He kept asking his family if they noticed anything wrong. They kept saying no. Everything is normal. We've always been this way. The show father started crying. He said he felt like he was losing his mind. The show wife put her hand on his shoulder. She smiled with too many teeth. She said in his voice that everything would be okay. The show father screamed. I looked at my real wife. She was smiling at me, too wide, just like the TV wife. I looked at my daughter. She was smiling too, the same wrong smile. I stood up. I said I was going for a drive. They both said, okay, in perfect unison. Same tone, same timing. I got in my car. I started driving. I didn't know where to go. I just drove. Every house I passed looked like mine. Exact copies. Same paint, same yard, same car in the driveway. Every single house. I turned down a different street. Same houses, all identical to mine. I drove for 20 minutes. Every street was the same. Every house was mine. I pulled over. I tried to call my brother. The phone rang. Someone answered. It was my voice. My brother spoke in my exact voice. He asked if I was okay. I asked why he sounded like me. He said he always sounds like this. We're brothers. We sound similar, but it wasn't similar. It was identical. Every word, every inflection, exactly the same. I hung up. I called my mother. She answered, in my voice. I called my best friend. My voice. I called my boss. My voice. Everyone spoke with my voice. I looked at my reflection in the rearview mirror. My face looked wrong. My smile was too wide. My teeth looked too numerous. When did that happen? I drove to the hospital. I needed to see a doctor. Something was wrong with me, or wrong with everyone else. I walked into the emergency room. The receptionist looked up. She had my face, not similar, identical, my exact face on her body. She smiled, too wide. She asked how she could help, in my voice. I backed away. I ran outside. Every person on the street had my face. All of them. Different bodies, different clothes, all my face, all smiling too wide, all watching me. I got back in my car. I drove home. Maybe I was having a breakdown. Maybe I needed to sleep. When I pulled into my driveway, I saw them, my wife and daughter, standing in the window, both smiling, too wide, both watching me. I walked inside. They were standing in the hallway, side by side, perfectly still. I asked them what they wanted. They both said nothing. In unison, in my voice. They just wanted me to be happy, to be normal, to stop asking questions. I ran upstairs to my bedroom. I locked the door. I needed to think. I needed to understand what was happening. I heard footsteps on the stairs, slow, deliberate, coming closer. I heard my wife outside the door. She said I was acting strange. She said I should open the door. She said we're worried about me. But she said it in my voice, and I could hear my daughter saying the exact same words. At the exact same time, the same voice, the same rhythm, perfect synchronization. The doorknob started turning, but I'd locked it. It kept turning. The door opened. I hadn't unlocked it. My wife and daughter stood in the doorway. Behind them were more people, all with my face, neighbors, friends, family, all wearing different bodies, all wearing my face, all smiling too wide. They walked into my room, surrounding me. They all spoke at once, the same words. My voice multiplied 50 times. They said I was being difficult. They said I needed to accept it. They said everyone is me now. They said I did this. I made this happen. Years ago, I wished I didn't feel so alone. I wished everyone could understand me, really understand me, be me. My wish came true. Everyone became me. Every person, every face, every voice, all me. And now, I'm surrounded by myself. Infinite copies, all wrong, all distorted, all too much. The original me drowning in a sea of myself. They said I should be happy. This is what I wanted, to never be alone, to be understood. Now everyone is me. Everyone understands perfectly, because everyone is the same person. I looked at all my faces, staring back at me, smiling wrong. I realized something terrible. I couldn't remember what I really looked like. I couldn't remember my real smile, my real voice. Maybe I already looked like this. Maybe I've always smiled too wide. Maybe everyone else was normal, and I was the wrong one. They all reached for me at once. 50 hands, all mine. They touched my face, my arms, my chest. They said I was almost ready, almost complete. Soon I would be like them. Soon I wouldn't remember being different. I would just be another me, another copy. Another wrong smile in a sea of wrong smiles. I felt my face changing, my mouth stretching, more teeth pushing through my gums, my voice shifting, becoming more like theirs, or were they becoming more like mine? I couldn't tell anymore. I looked in the mirror. My reflection smiled back. Too wide, too many teeth. I looked perfect. I looked just like everyone else, just like every me. My wife hugged me. My daughter hugged me. All my neighbors hugged me. "Welcome back," they said, in my voice. Our voice, the only voice. I smiled. It felt natural now. The stretch, the teeth. This is how smiling feels. This is how it's always felt. We all went downstairs, we sat on the couch, we watched our show. The family on TV smiled at us. Too wide, just right. Everything was normal now. Everything was perfect. We were all finally the same. I couldn't remember why I was upset. I couldn't remember being different. This is how it's always been. This is how it should be. We're all me. I'm all us. And that's exactly right. They say no man is an island, but for a week I was going to be the next best thing. I'd volunteered for the local conservation society. My task simple: spend 7 days documenting the structural integrity of an old lighthouse. It sat on a solitary granite rock, a quarter-mile offshore, a stoic guardian against the unforgiving sea. The moment the boat pulled away, the isolation was immediate, absolute. The air was thick with the smell of salt and something else, ancient decay. The lighthouse tower itself was surprisingly pristine, but the old keeper's quarters were a different story. Dust lay thick on everything, a grey blanket over a forgotten life. In the bedroom, I found a small, empty cradle. Beside it, on a nightstand, was a wind-up music box. Curiosity got the better of me. I wound it. A simple, childlike lullaby filled the silence, but it was in a slightly minor key, a detail that sent an odd shiver down my spine. It felt wrong, unsettling. I immediately packed it away in my trunk, wanting the tune out of my head. That night, I was in the lantern room, the highest point of the tower, surrounded by glass and the vast, inky blackness of the ocean. And then I heard it, faintly, sweetly, drifting up from below. Ting, ting, ting. The lullaby. My blood ran cold. I knew with absolute certainty that the music box was locked in my heavy trunk in the parlor 4 floors down. I had to be sure. I grabbed my flashlight and descended the winding iron staircase, my every footstep echoing in the stone cylinder. The music grew louder with each floor I passed, a tinny melody mocking the silence. It was definitely coming from the parlor. It was coming from inside the trunk. With trembling hands, I unlocked it and threw back the heavy lid. My heart hammered against my ribs. The music box was sitting upright right on top of my clothes, its little handle slowly, visibly turning, winding itself. I didn't hesitate. I slammed the trunk shut, the sound booming in the enclosed space, and locked it again. I scrambled back up the stairs past my own bunk all the way to the top. I spent the rest of the night on the outdoor observation deck, shivering in the biting sea wind, the cold iron railing a poor comfort. The air was dead still, not even a whisper of a breeze. Then, at exactly 3 a.m., the music stopped. The silence that followed was somehow more terrifying. It didn't last. A new sound began, a deep, resonant thrumming that seemed to vibrate up from the very foundation of the lighthouse, through the granite and into the soles of my feet. It was like a distant foghorn, but it was coming from inside. And then another sound. A sound that made my stomach clench and bile rise in my throat. A wet, mucosal coughing echoing up the central staircase. I heard the cough again, closer this time. My hand found the heavy iron key to the lantern room door. I needed to lock myself in. Then a voice. It was low and slurred, thick and heavy, like someone trying to speak underwater. "She likes the song. Keep playing it." My phone's flashlight beam cut through the darkness of the stairwell. I pointed it down, and that's when I saw movement near the bottom. Something was coming up. It wasn't walking. It was ascending. Slowly, methodically. A dark shape, impossibly tall and thin, gliding upwards. It seemed to float, not step, a perfect nightmare of unnatural motion. As it drew closer, I could make out its head, pale and abnormally large. Its limbs were elongated, stretching unnaturally in the narrow space. The thing's slow, sickening glide was hypnotic and horrifying. I was frozen, watching it approach. Then, right beside me, the sound started again. Ting, ting, ting. I snapped my head to the side. The music box was on the deck railing, its tune a deathly sweet serenade. I was trapped between the cursed box and the thing floating up the stairs. I looked back down the shaft. The figure stopped. It tilted its head, and in the flashlight beam, I saw a flash of white in its face, a vast, perfect, terrifying grin. It lifted an arm, and one of its enormous pale hands reached out, the impossibly long fingers spanning 3 steps of the narrow staircase. The fingers were wet, glistening with some kind of mucus. A scream tore from my throat. I grabbed the music box and hurled it over the railing into the empty air. It hit the granite rocks far below with a muffled thud. From the stairwell, the figure shrieked, a high, wet, agonizing sound of distorted innocence, like a baby being scalded, and it instantly retreated, vanishing back into the darkness below. I didn't move. I stayed locked in the lantern room for what felt like an eternity, listening to the silence. When the first rays of morning sun finally hit the steel door, I saw it. Scraped into the paint just above the latch was a message. It was written in a thick, clear, reddish-brown substance that smelled faintly of salt and chlorine. It read, "I have the child now. She's tired, but the music is mine." And beneath the words, stuck to the viscous substance, was a single tiny tarnished brass bell, the kind that would have been sewn onto the dress of a baby's rocking horse. I was rescued that afternoon, but some things you can't be rescued from. The music is still here. I hear it sometimes in the dead of night. Ting, ting, ting. And I know somewhere out there the music is his. Thank you so much for joining me on this terrifying tale. If you enjoy stories that will keep you up at night, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more. Stay safe out there and check the locks.